Uncle Joe, Uncle Joe. Give me more, give me more, give me more. Play that thing on the old banjo. All the young girls begin to sing. Some of them begin to shake that thing. Some of them throw themselves on the floor, shouting, Uncle Joe, give me more, give me more. A fella and his lover came in that night. Himself and Uncle Joe nearly fight. For when he tell his lover come go, she says, look, I'm waiting for Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe, Uncle Joe. Give me more, give me more, give me more. Play that thing on the old banjo. All the young girls begin to sing. Some of them begin to shake that thing. Some of them throw themselves on the floor, shouting, Uncle Joe, give me more, give me more. A fella and his lover came in that night. Himself and Uncle Joe nearly fight. For when he tell his lover come go, she says, look, I'm waiting for Uncle Joe. That night Uncle Joe was so vexed. Coming here I really regret. First the young girl shake up the thing, caused me to bust up my banjo string. Just tell me what you intend to do. Don't you know I'm engaged to you? I don't want to see, not to know. I'm not that loving up Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe, boy, you come in time. Houdini now make up his mind. Tell the world I am going to whine from 8 o'clock until 9:30. A school teacher was there that day. This is what I can bound to say. She took a drink and she break away and shake that thing for a half a day. Singer Uncle Joe, please meet with Barry.
My name is Jasmine Caldata from City, Vietnam, and since 1965 I become a voter, and I always place my ex next to the cup. And what they are doing today, I can't take it. So I have no more vote to give to PPP anymore. I'm not going to vote anymore no more. If they have to lose by one vote, they're losing it by data. I have no.
It's funny, it's funny, it's funny. It's funny, it's funny, it's funny. This lady was Sonny bite you. Right there, right there, right there. This lady where Oscar bite you. Right there, right there, right there.
Hey fans, it's karaoke and oldies night this and every Thursday at Club Twilight Sideline Dam, Buxton. Dance to the magical songs of yesteryear by popular DJs and Camps Audio. Admission is free. Come out, let's make memories at Club Twilight, Sideline Dam, Buxton North.
This lady was on the bite you. Right there, right there, right there. This lady will Oscar bite you. Right there, right there, right there. Ouch. Ouch. Ouch.
All right. Hey, guess what? Good evening. Yes, you're on to the right show. Those who know, if you know, you know. If you know, you know. Uncle Joe, give me more, let me go. All right. So our operator this evening has this guy, Joe Hamilton. Joe Hamilton happens to be, quote unquote, Minister of Labor. If you know, you know. I have nothing else to say, but if you know.
The couple wants up in the corner, drinking apple from Pepsi Cola. She dancing, but she moving weird, weird. I feel the drinks come up in she head. Where you bite, where you bite, where you bite before Sunday.
All right, we leave it as that. Where you bite, where you bite, where you bite. Okay, let's get off of that for a quick moment. That's it. But let us say good night to Joe Hamilton. Good night, Joe Hamilton. If you know, you know. I'm checking some of you in the audience. It looks as though you didn't know. But if you know, you know. Good evening. For those of you who are preparing for a healthy dinner, maybe Polari or whatever it is you want to, yum yum, dinner, Polari, whatever. Again, let us say good night to Polari Joe, who might be watching. We don't know. We don't know whether he's watching or not, but tonight seems to be his night. Some people go down on Polari, Tamrambal, tennis roll, whatever, but Joe Hamilton, good night to you. Come on down.
It's funny and funny and funny. It's funny and funny and funny. This lady was on the bite you. Right there, right there, right there. This lady will Oscar bite you. Right there, right there, right there. Ouch. 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 The couple wants up in the corner.
All right. So he's saying the couple that put him in the corner, but that's all right. If you know, you know. Joe Hamilton, good night to you. Hey, good night to all of you happening to listen wherever you are right now. Rastaman seems to be behind the cloud. A lot of you seem to be behind the cloud. I noticed Shelly. Shelly is saying, ouch, ouch, ouch. Shelly is saying, ouch, ouch, ouch. All right. Hey, Corinne Roberts, you seem to know what's going on. All right. We big, but we in dotish. We big, but we in dotish. All of you guys should understand what's going on right now. Uncle Joe, give me more, let me go. Uncle Joe, hey, what's happening in your neck of the woods? Forget about Joe, put his Polari aside. We know he loves to eat Polari. We know that by now. For those of you, if you know, you know. All right, what's happening to the people in Linden? Good night to all of you. Lily Galivia, how are you doing? And all of you beautiful people who are watching us, whether you are in Guyana, whether you're outside of Guyana, wherever you are, maybe O'Brien, Mary O'Brien, take it easy. Me and say nothing. Where people eating the Polari, whether on the shelf, on the table, on the counter, wherever. I am not. Mary O'Brien, good night to all of you. But guess what? We have Lincoln Lewis, veteran trade unionist, with us this evening. No stranger at all. We have lots of things to talk about with Lincoln Lewis. He is already with us, but he is smiling. I don't know what he's smiling about, but Mr. Lincoln Lewis is smiling. Good night to you, sir, and happy everything, independence, whether there's anything to be happy about 58 years or whatever. Good night to you, sir. How are you?
I'm great, Mark. I'm great, regardless of the challenges. I am soldiering on. No one will stop me from doing that.
Absolutely no one. Good to see you. Seem like you got a nice haircut. You're ready to rock and roll this evening. Let our operator get some Polari there. Thank you. No, thank you. Not tonight, operator. No Polari at all. Not tonight, please. Not tonight. Lincoln, how did you spend the 58th Independence anniversary, sir?
You know, I just stuck around, and remain home and just look at what was taking place throughout the country. I was so perturbed about the behavior of the persons who were elected to public office at the national level, how they treated with the citizens of Linden. Once again, what I've recognized is that something I've been saying for a number of years is that they say to people, a specific group of people, you can elect who you want. We will not recognize them. We will manage you. And that's the message they've been sending. They went into the heartland, where the heartland of Linden Region 10, Mr. Burnham in 1972, the first anniversary of nationalization of Denver. Mr. Burnham, at the square, at Coffee Square, at a rally, he described Linden as the cradle of the revolution. What these guys have been doing, they believe that they have demonized Burnham over the years. But what they're doing is attempting to take all the strategies of Burnham on board as they move on with governance. But what they fail to understand that in Burnham's case, when Burnham went to Linden, visited Linden, is that he tried to meet with all sections of the leadership, community leaders in Linden. It can be the trade union, the party, the town council. He will go down into every ward in Linden, walk those wards and talk with people before he keeps his rally. You see what his name went in the day of they were there the day before the day when they were doing the flag raising the night. Ali tried to walk around, went into the valley and some other places to see that he's bonding with people. But the difference with them and Burnham, the point I want to make, is that Burnham respected the leaders who were people elected. They don't respect your leaders. They want to go down there, disrespect your leaders, and you must respect them. So for me, is that we have had a major setback as we look at celebrated our 58th independence anniversary. All right? We need to look at those type of things. Look at it that the day has passed or the moment has concluded. They are going to continue. And we need to hold hands and fight in this case as a collective against what is being done by the current regime. So that's what my day look like, is to really sit down and assess, reassess the conduct of our public officials, the president, vice president, prime minister, and all of them. It is to really examine whether they are ready for the job.
You know, well said. Whether we already know that, and many people might be saying, those who are watching this show, who are visibly on the line, and those who are not online, but they are watching. Um, we already know that even in assessing these vagabonds who are currently ruling the country, they are just a bunch of visionless individuals who should not be. And instead of taking Guyana in the right direction, they are ruining Guyana. That's what they are about. The floods. Let's take a look at the floods, not just in Linden, but other parts of Guyana. But let us zoom in on how they are treating hundreds of residents who are affected by the flooding out there in Linden. Not a team from this so-called government to be in Linden to assess the situation and to even talk about monetary compensation to the people there. Nothing at all. You're not at all surprised, though, are you, sir?
No, they will not. They have decided already that they are not going to engage the current council or the RDC. You got to understand that the moment you have challenged their imposition at any point, they are finished with you. They believe that the resources of this country belong to a few of them. And resources as belonging to the citizenry. It is theirs. We'll have to now grovel and beg them for something. You know, Mark, there are times when people describe these guys in a certain way, or say things that not normally would have accepted as acceptable behavior. People come after you. But what they fail to understand, that the PPP, Ali, Jack Dio, Phillips, and all of them, don't say Phillips is civic. He is carrying out the biddings of Jack Dio and Ali, and he is equally dangerous, right? When you talk about them, or what they have done, people get alarmed. But until such time that we decide that we are going to carry out a sustained program to repel these people, we are not going to succeed. It is over important that we understand that that is what is necessary. They are not going to deal with Chama Solomon. They are deciding on that. But what I believe that Sam Solomon's approach on the ground will yield the fruits, the benefits that we are looking for, of walking around here, giving hope to the citizens of Linden, and to mobilize them into a cohesive group to repel these guys. Then I want to stop. But Linden, the leadership, and the community need our help, need help from outside. It may be our last political stance in repelling the PPP. I would have liked to see many more leaders, community leaders, national leaders, joining hands and forces with them. these guys can be stopped, and Linden can stop them. Linden, under the leadership of Solomon Kissoon and others, Vanessa Kissoon, in fact, my apologies. They can stop. I look at I remember the organizing they did in 2012 for the electricity protests. And if they have been given the same support and resource, they can do differently for us. For us as a country, we've got to repel these people. We've got to start somewhere.
It has got to stop. 24 minutes after 9 o'clock, veteran trade unionist Lincoln Brandon Lewis is with us, and our prayers go out to the folks out in Linden and other parts of Region 10. Rockstone, the people out there in Rockstone as well. Those of you who don't know Rockstone, you go through to Linden and you go all the way up there. I've had an opportunity to be there with my late grandfather, my maternal grandfather, Terry Murray. And so our prayers are out there for the folks in Rockstone. Unfortunately, this corrupt, wicked, racist PPP regime seem to have turned a blind eye on the people, not only in Rockstone and Linden, by extension, all of Region 10 during the course of this flooding, and other parts of Guyana as well. Shame on the PPP regime. And kudos to those strong leaders out there in Region 10. Sharma Solomon, we have seen him there on the ground. The deputy mayor is also out there doing his thing. The regional chairman as well out there. And so Vanessa Kissoon and other members of the city council and other elected officials, some of whom I don't know by names, but they are out there doing their thing as well. And that is what I agree with Lincoln. That is what Guyana needs right now. Other leaders in other regions should be out there doing their thing as well. All right, welcome to the program. Lincoln Lewis is with us. If you're now joining, good night. I hope you guys have enjoyed your weekend and a productive weekend as we have started this Monday. We're still in the struggle, so to speak. Billions and billions of dollars wasted and nothing, absolutely nothing coming out of this corrupt, racist PPP regime. Lincoln, let's get straight into Negro. There is this big conversation now, and it is timely, and it's about time also, that whenever the police force, members of the police force describe persons of African descent, for the most part, they describe them as either male Negro or female Negro. What has been your take on this description? A struggle that we have been with for years now. What is your thoughts, Ari, on this whole Negro stuff?
I want to tell you that I have seen our community plunder and blunder on issues. And I don't believe we should not make another mistake. We made one when Dr. Gibson's book was taken to the Ethnic Relation Commission. And we argue all the theories, the academic theories, and we had all the references. Our academics were lined up to argue the case. And I remember subsequently we had some big dossiers arguing this case. I hope we don't make the same mistake on this one here. Let me tell you why I'm making the reference about Dr. Gibson. Dr. Gibson's book was taken to the ethnic relations. Say it's creating racial problems in the society. The simple question that nobody went to.
let me just quickly link and start to, and the book of which you're referencing is The Cycle of Racial Oppression in Guyana.
Yeah.
Continue.
Adebanit. Let me tell you what. The question, the charge was that it's creating racial problems and what it can do, likely to do. So what was simply a simple question that needed to be asked at that time? Bring the evidence to show us where it happens. On all the presenters who went there, none of them asked that question. Show us where this problem occurs. Nobody asked the question. People tell you about this theory and that theory and that theory. And at the end, the PPP come out. The PPP, what you call it? The PPP commission headed by Agil came out and did one thing. Is ban the book. When I talk with commissioner, one commissioner said to me, it's no nonsense, you right? But when I asked him, he never read the book. Right? Show me the evidence. In this case here, it's a simple story. We ain't got to argue, we ain't got to debate this issue. The man who come from China, who have his origins, come from China and has his origins, they call the Chinese. Man who come from India, they call the East Indian because he come from the East and he call the Indian. The man who come from Portugal, they call the Portuguese. That way they calling him because the people want it. That's what they want. The man who come from Europe is a European. Then he call you a white man. Right? Let me tell you something. If the Guyanese people, the people who look like me in Guyana want to be called, referred to as Africans, so be it. If everybody else can get that privilege, why the Africans can't get the privilege? What we need to do, Mark, is that the people who are leading this process need to call all the African organizations, all of them who talking that they're advocating on behalf. This send it to the president, send it to the commissioner of police, send it to Minister of Affairs. That's what we want to be referred to. You ain't determine for us who we are. We must identify. Where we identify, that's what we are. So I am very straight on this here. Let's don't make the same mistake. Because if we go and we talk about what the UN says, what other international agencies says, and so on, they are going to go around and they are going to get a whole set of references from United States, England, and all about, and they will tell you, this is our position. They argue against it. Simply put, is that we wish to be referred to as Africans. And these are the examples. You get the Portuguese, they are those who come from Portugal, they call them Portuguese, so be it. You understand? I mean, simple story.
It's very simple indeed, but those who are in office don't seem to get it. And one such person who has dilly-dallied on the issue, responding to, I assume, a Facebook post yesterday, because he did immediately after that a post where I just call him out as outright racist on this position. I'm not sure if we can consider that backpedaling, but let me just have you and our audience, members of the audience, listen to what Anil Nandalal, who is the Attorney General of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana, has to say concerning the issue of Negro, persons of African descent being described as Negro by the Guyana police force.
And Kedaki does nothing about it. Well, he is in police custody apparently, assisting with the investigation. That's the Kedaki person. And you know, when you, all of you, well, most of you may have had engagements with the Guyana police force, and you may have seen how they write statements. They always use Negro to describe Afro-Guyanese, male East Indian to describe Indo-Guyanese, male Amerindian or Amerindian male to describe indigenous Guyanese. Suddenly, this lawyer who Kedaki retains, this is a lawyer of 30, 40 years standing. He's going to the police station for 40 years now. He never had an objection to the word Negro. I've never heard him object to the use of the word Negro before. And that would have been on tens of thousands of police statements that he would have seen. Tens of thousands of police statements that lawyer would have seen. Because he's largely a criminal lawyer. Never objected. Because I think Congressman Jackson is here, Jonathan Jackson, who is a member of the Congressional Black Caucus of the US. This lawyer now finds the use of the term Negro by the Guyana police force as objectionable. The Guyana police force was formed 180 years ago. 180 years they're using that term. This lawyer never found it objectionable.
Lincoln, take a bite of that, please. 180 years ago, something isn't right there, but go ahead, sir.
What this guy failed to understand, that society do not remain static. What may have been right 20 years ago may not be right today. Flogging of your children was something acceptable in this society 30, 40 years ago. Flogging of children in school 15, 20 years ago, it was permitted. It don't be permitted anymore. And if a group of people, if a people will wish not to be referred to by in a certain way, then consider what they're saying. Don't come with that they're wrong. We will not like us as a people to refer to the East Indians in the language that the colonials describe them. They have been more, they have come from where they were called described in demeaning terms to the point where they are today, where they have been called East Indians. This is how these people brass face, bold face, liar and wicked. Let me tell you something. But I'll tell you, Mark, you know, this problem with the African community, it was similarly confusing, like what you find in the Amerindian community. Some want to be called Amerindian, some want to be called indigenous people, and so forth. We have had that. There was a time in this country during late 1990, and early 2000, when some persons who today are asking that they be called, referred to as Africans, when you talk to them and you said to them at that time that we were African Guyanese or whatever, they said, no, I'm Guyanese. They call the African. I'm glad that the chicken has come home to roost. Many persons who had seen the label of African as taboo, they are now embracing it. You know, when I talk about Africans, you know, the politicians, the government politicians, they will say I'm talking about race. But let me remind them that race is a reality. There's nothing wrong in talking about race. In any census that you're doing, national census, they may ask you, what race are you? You know why they ask you that? Because if they are going to do the necessary planning and development, they will map out the areas that may have maybe populated with East Indian, the areas that are maybe populated majority by the First people, or they may look at the areas that are populated with Africans. What they do, they will look at that, will guide you to say if you are going to look at establish like a health program, a national health plan. If a man is troubling, if you have a doctor that is specialized in, for instance, like TB and those type of things, you will send them to the area or station them in the area where TB, where the population may be susceptible to TB. If you're talking about things like diabetes, sickle cell, it may be the African community. Where African community, a doctor that is specialized in that, you send them to that area and you seek to put most of the money for programs for that. So there's nothing wrong in you talking about race. But these guys here, they're so wicked. Since you talk about race as an African man, they believe that you have no right to talk about it because it will expose their program, and more so, they want to demonize you by saying that you are a racist, not wanting to give credit for you to be asking for them to respect the race as equal to other groups in society. So
Lincoln.
I
Go ahead.
Okay,
Go
man.
ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. No, you go ahead. Make your point. Finish up.
Yeah, they are not. What Anil Nandalala said there, it tells you that he reacts without thinking what the consequence, what the issue is, and what the likely consequences are. They are programmed to oppose everything that African people says or ask for. They are programmed to say that you're not entitled to be treated equally like any other group. He's programmed here to the point where he recognizes, where he will like the group that he comes from, referred to as East Indians. But he don't want to give that right to another group to see what they will like to. And not only East Indian, he believe that he has the right. He even go and say that he's a child free. He's better than the others in the same group that he comes from. What is important to him is that he wants to maintain the class, even in the group that he comes from. To say, you people, you have to look up to me. They're discriminatory in all forms. And that needs to be told in uncertain terms. But I'm saying to you that we can't go down the road talking about, we cannot be going down the road talking about what we call it, about theories. Simply put, all the other groups have determined what they will love to be called. Even the first people. Some say they don't want to be called Amerindians. They want to be called first people. And we're giving them that respect. So why is it if the African people say they want to be called Africans, you're objecting to it?
He's outside of that, Lincoln, and thank you so much. Well put. And good night to those of you who are now joining us, James and Leighton and Savitri and all of So True, Hector, Debbie Collins, all of you, good night. Now, the reason for this, Lincoln, on the screen, this was a bulletin, well, not bulletin, this is a, what is it, a mugshot that's issued by the Guyana Police Force. And we are beginning to see some developments, some positive developments as it pertains to the description of persons of African descent. So they have decided now, they're not describing persons of African descent any longer. There is no description, just the name, and that's it. So I just checked the police blog, and that's what the Guyana police blog, and that's what they just named this guy who is alleged to have been caught with narcotics or whatever. They just put his name, and that's it. So they have moved from describing persons of African descent as Negroes to no description at all right? Absolutely no description. But I agree with you, Lincoln, that the likes of an Anil Nandalal, instead of him going out and say, well, look, that they are in office right now, even though under questionable circumstances, the time has come to support this call, because it has been something, it is something that has been going on for a while, that those of us, whenever we see persons of African descent being described as Negroes, we took objection to that. And we have voiced our opinions on that as well. I'm glad that this has taken to another level now, where all of us, it is a we thing, are coming together to say enough is enough. And Anil Nandalal should get with the program and stop with his nonsense about 180 years. I think Mr. Paul Stowe in last night's program with Nigel Hughes and Enrico and Olive Simpson and Norris Witter and others, attorney at law, Jeffords as well, they were pretty clear. All of us are on one track, so to speak, on this matter. All of us. And the representation is across the board for all, on behalf of all persons of African descent. So Anil Nandalal has to stop pussyfooting on the issue. But Lincoln, I recall...
Before you go, Mark.
Sure. Go ahead. Sorry.
I observe the mugshot that you've put up there.
Yes, sir.
I hope that non-identification by race, okay? The non-identification as a people do not only apply to Africans, it applies across the board. Because if you're going tomorrow to say that this person who have been charged, you're doing a mugshot and you say this person of East Indian or Portuguese descent, what you're actually saying that the man who is the African don't exist. He has no identity as a person who belongs to a group. The only group he belongs to is a group of criminals. Think about what they're doing.
You know, and again, you're correct. They're moving from one to the next. They describe persons of East Indian descent as East Indian, indigenous as indigenous or Amerindian. They do that, but yet they have a problem describing persons of African descent as such, as opposed to Negro. There is no justification for using Negro now, not because it was allegedly used 180 years ago, and there's no evidence. Anil needs to read up on African history. And I recommend this book to Anil Nandalal and maybe some others out there. It is called Themes of African Guyanese History. You can pick up a copy, whether it's on Amazon, whether it's right there at Austin's bookstore. Look, it's right here. Themes in African Guyanese History. You can't miss it. I've read this book many a times, even while I was in Camp Street, many years ago, and I keep reading it. I was reading it this afternoon again. Guys, pick up and read your history, and you would not allow guys like Anil Nandalal to tell you what your history is all about. They never used the term Negro 180 years ago. They never did. And even if they did, there is no justification for it to be continued today in 2024. 180 years ago, they used other descriptions against other ethnic groups. And those other ethnic groups, and Anil knows what I'm talking about, objected to it. So why is it a problem that persons of African descent are objecting to it? What the people in this PPP regime should do is to issue, Anil Nandalal and the Minister of Home Affairs should issue a statement right now calling on Guyana Police Force to desist from ever using the word Negro in describing persons of African descent. Story done. Lincoln, I know many years ago we were arrested together. I can't recall them describing, but I recall the many times that I was arrested. They put me down as MR. And until one day I asked, what is MR? And MR actually, do you know what MR means? And I'm not sure what they described us when we were arrested many years ago. But you know what MR is, right?
Or you tell the audience.
Thank you, Lincoln. They described me as MR, mixed race. And I asked, how can they look at me and just automatically put me down as mixed race, put somebody down as African Guyanese or African descent, and then put somebody down as Negro? So they need to get their act together. I don't know. Do you recall what they described you as back then?
I can't remember. But I was so engrossed in telling the prisoners what they should do with the government. Right? I was it was so important to me to spend some time with those prisoners. You know.
Quick question.
I can't remember that. But let me tell you this. Let me tell you.
You spent a lot of time for 3 nights in the lockups preaching to those prisoners. I really thought that Lincoln Lewis was going to become a preacher when he got released. But go ahead, sir.
Let me tell you, Mark. We have to be strong on this issue. People may see it as a simple issue, but it is more important. It is equally important as talking about issues of bread and butter. When it comes to your identity, it's important. Anybody who determines for you what your identity is, they can use that identity to really say whether you are entitled to something in society or you're not entitled. Because if they can say to me or any group that you are subhuman, then I don't have they can take away the right from me to vote. So I'm making this point for people to understand the importance of naming. What, if they activity, if we allow people to name us as criminals, gangsters, whatever derogatory name they can put in you, it opens or it prepares the mind of society that when they destroy you by killing you, society will turn a blind eye. So the issue of naming is important. That's why when Mr. Jagdio comes out and he calls me a name, I call him a name too. He's in a privileged position to do what he wants to do, and the police won't tell him why you're calling him. You know what he said? We'll call him fair game. Call me one name, I'll call you another one. Because I understand that what you're doing, when you call me these names, is to prepare society or for society to see me as a no good. Let me just give you an example of something. There's a minister on breakdown who looking after education, who took us on ourselves to go on our Facebook last week to talk about, to describe both Vincent Adams, Dr. Adams, and myself as the pensioners. We collectively pension and we're doing this and that. I responded to her today. Let me tell you something. Let me say it again, that I am, say for the society, those who read it, I am proud to be a pensioner. I've reached the age to be a pensioner, and I've been aging gracefully. Every time I look in the mirror, I say, boy, you have good genes. You're going to make 100 plus, like your uncles and so on, right? But I will ask myself, I'm so confused when I looked at her. I asked myself, is she a pensioner or not? Because before she does anything, she looks into the mirror. I hope that, I know that she's going to say, why is it that God has been so, the maker has been so kind to me, that I look well, or I look like a pensioner, or one, not only a pensioner, but a destitute person. In my young days, when I was admiring, I got a wife now, who I love very much. When I used to admire women, them want to get second look, man. They fit the bill. So I know she has looked at everything. Let you know that.
This is the article, and we ask folks to take a read, go into the Village Voice. It says, and this is Lincoln's piece, it says, was Luncheon telling us something about Manik Chand? That is Priya Manik Chand's feral conduct. And the feral conduct is her despicable behavior, attitude at the U.S. ambassador's residence. That is when Ambassador Brent Hart was there in Guyana. And since then, I believe she was banned. I believe that she was banned from ever entering that U.S. residence ever again. And so Lincoln Lewis is putting her in her place. She's talking about pensioners. There's so many vagabonds in the PPP cabinet who are pensioners. Whether it's Polari Joe, he's a pensioner. Edgil is a pensioner. Robeson Ben is a pensioner. Mark Phillips is a pensioner. Barra Jagdeo is a pensioner. And so many others. Gil Teixeira is way beyond pensioner. All those pensioners right now in the PPP cabinet. How does she feel? And this is another example that these goons in the PPP regime seem to be living in a different world, a world where reality doesn't exist. Lincoln.
Feral conduct. Wild animal out there. Blood shall describe her. Look at Jesus.
That's okay. That's okay, Lincoln. Laurie might be on your mind. Let's move on here, and good night to all of you guys who are now joining us. Lincoln, let us get your take on the arrest of Brother Kadaki Amsterdam and the persecution of Kadaki. And not just Kadaki, but for them in the PPP regime to be targeting individuals on this so-called cybercrime. But recently is Kadaki. My opinion is that they did this to divert the attention of Guyanese with all of the wickedness that they're doing and the stealing of hundreds of millions of dollars and giving billions of dollars of contracts to their friends and their cronies. Your take on Kadaki Amsterdam's arrest, please.
Let me say to you that Kadaki was arrested. You have to understand the PPP. The PPP, for something that was done some months ago, long ago. The PPP brought young Jackson, congressman here, all had a tour, organized very much for him to see that there's no discrimination. They went to Linden and they carry 87 buses, bus people into Linden. They say, yeah, this is the heartland of the African people. They come out in support of the president and the government. While they were doing that, they decided that they're going to take these people take him into Moko. When they went to Moko, either he asked or what, went there. And they carried early in the morning. They did early. You know why they did it early in the morning? Because they had intended that everybody would have gone to work, and those who they bus in or who they tell who they carry through and give them and school them what they must say. They would have been the only people there. But it didn't happen. It didn't work out. I must commend the leaders, inclusive of all those people who spoke Nima through Daniels and others who spoke there, who talk about what happened. I must commend them. They did a good job. They ambushed the PPP. But the PPP did not stop there. The PPP had intended to say to them, say to young Jackson, that look, these black people here, there are some of them who get terroristic tendencies. So they pick up Kadaki. You don't, this is a plan, you know. This is not something that just get up to do. The PPP plan it out how they're going to deal with it. This thing happened a long time before. Why is it that when Jackson is here, there's a time they're going to pick him up? They want to tell Jackson that, hey, you get some people here who get terroristic tendencies. And that's what they did.
So that was their plan when they kidnapped Kedaki Amsterdam, to persecute him, because that's what they did. And we know that those senior members of the corrupt PPP regime were well aware of what they planned, and to execute that plan, to make it appear that a crime was committed. When in fact the PPP
Can I, Mark, just interject a minute?
Sure.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. PPP operates in a different way. PPP in the Constitution, in the Congress, they said, let them move out Marxism, Leninism, take it out. But you know what they keep? They keep democratic centralism. Everything that happens in the police force, the PPP knows. Freedom House get its people them who does it. When the PPP moved nearly all the heads of divisions and replaced them with Estonian, it's because they consider those Estonians to be loyalists to them. So everything that will be done is not about how you can run the force effectively, but how you can satisfy the political requirement that the party will like to see. It's a different story. You've got to understand the PPP, and that's the way they operate. They will never lose the police force. They will never lose the army. They will always look for loyalists. Loyalists to the party, not to the laws, to do the things that they would like to do. That's our problem.
Well said, Lincoln Lewis, veteran trade unionist, with us here this evening. Let me just say to you guys that this coming Friday at Critchlow Labor College, the conversation on the removal of the word Negro as describing persons of African descent by the Guyana Police Force. There will be a public meeting this coming Friday, starting at 5 o'clock at Critchlow Labor College. At Critchlow Labor College, the conversation continues, and there will be speakers there. Olive Sampson will be there. Others, including Attorney at Law Nigel Hughes, and others, including Vashti, Miss Vashti, who is giving the PPP hell right now, along with Anil Nandalal. And let's go quickly to Vashti. This is what Anil Nandalal has been saying, because Vashti, that woman, Vashti, has been giving them nightmare. This is Anil's position on Vashti, and after that, I'll get your take, please, Lincoln.
Report to you that not a single resident objected to the acquisition, except one, as far as I am aware. One. None of the residents objected to the acquisition process. Naturally, we had disagreements with the quantum of compensation to be paid. And that is why we had so many meetings. The persons whose private properties were acquired and are being acquired, each was offered land or house and land and monetary compensation and compensation attached to their moving. So you had each person was offered either land or, if they want, house and land. Most of them were offered house and land because they wanted house and land. Some of them wanted to build their own house, so they were offered land. And in addition to land or house and land, they were also offered monetary compensation. government valuation department was engaged, and we obtained certificates of valuation from that department. Then in addition to that, the government retained the services of a private valuation officer and obtained valuation certificates from that private valuation officer as well. So you had two valuation certificates that the government guided itself by in the engagements with the private citizens. Why? Because we wanted to ensure that the persons receive market value for their property, because that is what the law says they are entitled to. So we didn't impose arbitrarily market value. We use the government valuation department, and we use also the valuation certificates from a private valuation officer. We sat with every single person and negotiated an acceptable compensation package with each of these persons or their legal representatives. And that is why the process lasted from October 2022 all the way to 2024. Some of these persons do not own the property. Some of them are squatters. Some of them, the property is owned by a relative. So you have various legal situations that you have to deal with. Some of them, the property owned by the parents, but they never applied for letters of administration for the estate of the deceased parent. So you had various scenarios that you got to work through. But we patiently worked through each one. Now there are some that we were unable to arrive at a settlement with. But that is okay. The law contemplates that. And in those situations, the law provides that the government should go to the High Court and let the High Court determine the compensation. And in those matters where we were unable to reach an amicable compensation package, the government has gone to the High Court in the name of the Attorney General for the court to determine what is market value in accordance with law for the purpose of compensation. I saw a particular elderly woman on Facebook, on television, making some wild and baseless allegations. I personally engaged this person. Her name is Vashti Fredericks. I personally engaged Ms. Fredericks on several occasions at several of these meetings. The lawyers whom we retained and engaged Ms. Fredericks. First of all, Ms. Fredericks does not own the property. That's the first thing. The property is still in the name of Ms. Fredericks' parents, mother, I think. She doesn't have letters of administration for the property. She doesn't have a will. At least she's not showing it. She's not cooperating at all with the process. But she goes on Mark Benchcup television show, she goes on different radio programs, and she goes on different television news outfit to say that the government is discriminating, as usual. The government is not consulting. The government is paying one set of people and not paying another set of people. Absolute nonsense. And I say so with the greatest of respect.
Lincoln, you heard Anil said that Vashti, and I didn't realize that the clip was going to go for so long. Let me apologize for to our listeners there for entertaining Anil for so long. But he said, and I was smiling because he said Vashti is not cooperating with them at all. Right? Take over based on what you heard there, sir. I know you've had your personal experiences with Anil and your family lands out there in West Coast Berbice. But your take, please, sir.
Well, I'll tell you something. Let me tell you about these guys. All they can do is use state power to bully people. In my own family issue, the people don't have right or any document for the land. Well, Anil went there and tell them and made the point, and was making the point that it has to be state land, nobody owns it. And if it's state land, and in the same breath, Anil was saying to this country that he has prescriptive rights for a number of persons. If it's state land, the law says if it's state land, you can't get prescriptive rights. You can't get prescriptive rights. So how is it that it becomes state land? This guy is always misleading people. And what they have been doing over the years is to use state power, not only to mislead, but to bully people. Those people who think there, I am sure about one thing, that they may have given them money with a piece of land. That lady makes a point, Vashti, she's making a point, a very important point. She and another guy, they were making the point, is that they're the animals. There's a life, to a large extent, their livelihood. You don't take them and give them a piece of land inside the scheme. And when they go in there, they can't mind their cows anymore. They can't mind the sheep and these type of things. Each case needs to be looked at. And it tells you how they operate. The same Vashti that he's talking about. I've seen a clip with Vashti, where Minister Ejil walking down and have a letter and pass it to Vashti. That is how, that is what they have made a minister. A minister who happens to be an African. They make you what? A messenger boy. Send you out there to be humiliated.
Right? That's what he is, a messenger boy. Quickly, just stick a pin, please, Lincoln. Just quickly. Let's go back.
And I say so with the greatest of
Let's
respect.
go back to him trying to say something.
Well, the government is not consulting. The government is paying one set of people and not paying another set of people. Absolute. She's not cooperating at all with the process. But she goes on Mark Benchcup television show, she goes on different radio programs, and she goes on different television news outfit to say that the government is discriminating, as usual.
Which is the fact.
The government is not consulting. The government is paying one set of people and not paying another set of people. Absolute.
All right. So, Lincoln, and we had to go back to that part again. Guess who we have on the phone right now to stop Anil Nandalal in his tracks? Vashti. Miss Vashti, good night to you. You heard Anil said that you don't own the land, you have no will, he has seen nothing, he doesn't know what's going on. But yet he doesn't know, but he's talking. Tell us what's going on, please, as you respond to Anil Nandalal.
Yes, sir. We heard a lot of things in the air. I heard a lot of things in the air and in the news of what he's saying. But I don't think that is his portfolio, because that's housing portfolio, and I was dealing with housing. And housing have my documents. So I don't know where he comes in with that. Because they're being they're discriminating all the time, and so they're just trying to find ways and means to discredit people, black people, and that is what they're doing all the time. That's what they're doing. Housing have my copies. I went to housing and even to Mr. Nandalal, associate lawyer, that they took us to. Probably he had to have a copy of whatever. Mickey was dealing with me. He was calling me to sign documents concerning the property, right? And so if it wasn't legitimate, he would not have done that. He was calling me to sign document, and he was he was dividing the property because the will is in myself and sister's name, and he was dividing it to tell us how the shares are going between myself and sister. He was doing the division for us. His name is Mr. Manoj. That is one of Anil Nandalal's associate lawyers. And so that is what he was doing. He was the man that making all negotiation for me, that the government would not give me compensate me for my fruit trees. They would be giving me trees to plant back. And I told him like it is. Look at my face, and I take off my hat. Look at me and look at my face. Look at my hair. You all have to give me fruit trees with fruits on them. He's the man that was doing that. So I don't know if I had signed all those documents that they were doing those illegal documents. Everything would have been all right.
Stick a pin.
Right? Because
stick a pin, please, Miss Vashti. Yeah, go ahead, Miss Vashti. Go ahead, please.
All these things this government is doing is unprofessional. I say it again, and illegal, because you can acquire my property behind my back and gazette it. How you come to that? How, where you reach to that stage and gazette my things that I know nothing about? Tell me that is what, Mark, what you would call that?
Absolutely. Miss Vashti, stick a pin there. Lincoln, and Mr. Lincoln Lewis is with us also, Miss Vashti. Lincoln, you heard Miss Vashti, you heard Anil try to paint a picture as though Miss Vashti doesn't have anything at all. And he claims that he doesn't have any information. But earlier on his program, he said 5 lawyers representing the government. The government hired 5 lawyers. We want to know where those lawyers are from, whose law firm, or which law firms. Outside of that, are you surprised that the way Anil tried to paint Vashti, Miss Vashti, is as though she has no ownership or nothing, and tried to paint a picture as though she's trying to hustle to own a piece of a property that she doesn't have any ownership to? Your take, Lincoln.
It's a usual thing with these PPP ministers. Jagdeo, Anil, and the whole rest of them. What they can do, they can just lie. They lie to this nation. And the thing become natural now. And when they lie now, they got to tell another lie to cover up that lie. That's what they have been doing. This man, basically what this lady is saying, that it is his law firm that has been given the business. If it was some other government, you would hear what they would have done. This year, let me say it to you, let me put it this way. Discrimination exists. Seriously. And I've been following that issue with Vashti and the rest of them. And she talked about what has been happening, who have been in. It's not a question where discrimination can be in 2 ways. It can be discrimination in favor of one person or a group of persons. And it can be discrimination against a group. So, while you may argue that, look here, I am looking if the person consistent with certain compensation, consistent with certain factors, like having the evaluation office, private evaluation, and so forth. But while you give to somebody what you may consider just and fair, you may give somebody with something less, a less, less valuable property, something more than what the property value. And you may take into consideration the opportunity costs. You take into consideration like these persons have been on this land, they have to go and start over again, where they're going and these type of things, those things. I don't believe they take those things into consideration.
They take it into consideration when it suits their agenda. But sorry, Lincoln, as we still have Miss Vashti, and I really call her after 10 in the night. What's the situation with this whole fiasco? Because Anil Nandalal is saying that you are not cooperating at all. And I think that is kudos for you. We are proud of you. They want to bully you, but you're not cooperating with them in order to be bullied. Where are you with this situation right now, Miss Vashti?
Mark, if I want to tell you tonight, I'm tired because I've laid my brother. My brother died. We have laid him to rest today. And if I tell you, we have just been parted that leave the home because we had the repast. And I tell you, these people are really plaguing my brain. They don't have no empathy. They don't have no sympathy, nor nothing. Because that morning when I mentioned to Edgy that I have a terminal ill brother, he said nothing. They don't have, I don't know what words to describe these people as. I always say they're a callous government. They're a callous government, and they're discriminating. Because that lady with Palori, that I say I got to start a Palori business. That lady gets so much of money for Palori, and we lost so much of things here when Cocoa break. Nobody never came in here to find out what happened. I always say there's a couple, both of them had stroke. Those people washing machine was damaged. That lady got to be washing with one hand. I took a letter, 3 letters, one to the president, one to Edgil, one to NDIA. I have those people's signature that signed for those people. We went personally, myself and 2 residents from this area. I have their signature here. And Edgil watched me in my face and said, you don't know about that. You never get say, well, then the people that throw the sign and then they throw it in the garbage. Right? So, but right now what I'm hearing, some of the residents, they have received notice to go to court on the 12th of next month. Some have received court, and what they're trying to do, divide and rule, and the parsing and analyzing. So some, they give notice to go to court on the 12th of June. Some got notice to go to court sometime in July. Well, I don't know. I haven't received anything yet. So I don't know what they're going to do with me. But I'm saying again, because all the time the things that were doing to us, they were never being exposed. The hurting that they're causing people in this place, they were never being exposed. So that's why the people, the public, the citizen, they had a lot of things to say about us, that we get money and we don't want to move and we don't like development and all those things. But now they're being exposed, and I can say it because the highest forum, or what supposed to uphold the law, which is the parliament, those men in parliament and the ladies or the PPP people, they don't have no quality. They don't have, because the way they behave in parliament, they use a lot of lewd words, calling people, telling them they want a dildo and all those things. So tonight, I can safely say they get caught, and all of them get caught. Let me tell you, my God is protecting me, and I want them to know. They get caught with their pants down and their penis outside.
Thank you. Or if ever folks need to see that, some may need a telescope or microscope or anything of that sort. But Ms. Vashti, thank you so much. We will have you back on soon. I suspected that you were out, laying your brother to rest today as I try to get in touch with you. We are with you. We are also proud of you for standing up against the likes of Anil and these bullies in the PVP regime. Do not be bullied. We are with you. Thank you so much. Get your rest, though.
Okay.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, good night.
Lincoln, as we prepare to wrap up, you heard there from Miss Vashti. I know lots of other Guyanese are experiencing probably the same thing. You have had your personal experiences as well out there with your Kojo McPherson's generation, his generation, their land that they worked for hard and maintained, but yet folks in the PVP wanted to bully you guys for that. Your closing remarks, please, sir.
Mark, I want to tell you that the viewership that while I say thanks for inviting me, let me take this opportunity in closing to see that the teacher strike is still on. This week, Thursday, we are going to be out there. The TUC is going out there, calling on all the trade union leaders in this country. Let us start the picketing exercise outside the Ministry of Education on breakdown. Let us start there. Let this be the first salvo. Let us get involved by physically and to see how we can together hold hands and crusade against the atrocities that have been committed by this government. The teachers' issue cannot be allowed. Thursday, within the hours of 11 to 1, we are calling on trade union leaders to come out there. Come out there and pick up a picket. Let's us start the process. I want to say to my comrades in the trade union, don't say to your friends in your community that you are a trade unionist. Come to Ministry of Education, pick up the placard, and then you will be properly validated whether you're a man or a woman with backbone. A person who say to people, when you're having a drink or a party, I'm a unionist, come out there and be counted. Urge every trade union leader to come outside there. And if possible, Ben's Cup. So I will request of you to cover it, right? Let's do that. Then we will know who is absent or who is present. Come Thursday. Thursday is the 6th. Thursday, 11 to 1, in front of the Wild Animals office. Let us be there. Thank you.
Thursday from 11 o'clock, Thursday, we will carry it live right here on 107.1 FM. That's what we do as part of the struggle, our contribution. We will carry it live. Folks are urged to go out this Thursday in front of the Ministry of Education on Brickdam. And the Ministry of Education is headed by someone who seemed to have missed school lots and lots of days. We know who that person is. We're not going to horse around. We know who that person is. Lincoln, as always, it's a pleasure to have you here on 107.1 FM. As you take your leave, I hope you will have a good snack, but not Polari, not tonight. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, comrades and friends who have come out here, joined to give us the support. I will once again urge you, since you're comrades and friends, to join us in this struggle. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank you so much, Lincoln Lewis, dear veteran trade unionist, is calling on you, all of you, to join the struggle this Thursday, 11 o'clock, starting at 11 o'clock in front of the Ministry of Education. Thank you so much, Lincoln.
Right.
And to all of you, thank you all so much. And we leave you with this here tonight. And if you know, you know. If you don't know, well, I can't help you. I'm not going to explain it. If you don't know, it's about Joe, Uncle Joe. The song, all of you know since we were little kids, Uncle Joe, give me more, let me go. But if you know, you know. And if Joe Hamilton is watching, good night. Good night to you, Joe. If you know, you know. We're out of here. See you tomorrow. Same place, same time, right here on 107.1 FM. So long.
Uncle Joe, Uncle Joe, give me more, give me more, give me more, flavor thing on the old banjo. All the young girls begin to sing, some of them begin to shake that thing. Some of them throw themselves on the floor, shouting, Uncle Joe, give me more, give me more. A fella and his lover came in that night, himself and Uncle Joe nearly fight. For when he tell his lover come go, she says, look, I'm waiting for Uncle Joe. That night Uncle Joe was so vexed. Coming here I really regret. First the young girl shake up the thing, cause me to bust up me banjo string. Just tell me what you intend to do. Don't you know I'm engaged to you? I don't want to see, not to know. I'm not that loving up Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe, boy, you come in time. Houdini now make up his mind. Tell the world I am going to whine from 8 o'clock until 9:30. A school teacher was there that day. This is what I can bound to say. She took a drink and she break away and shake that thing for a half a day.